The Agutter. I must say, it's a brave woman that'll walk on with a beard. What was all that about?
Well, it's... my friend in it, Ed Begley Jr., is disguising himself, and I'm the only person in the plot who doesn't know what's going on at all. Throughout the entire thing, I never find out. I don't even find out at the end. And these various characters are pretending to be different people to work out the Jeffrey Archer story.
Sounds dashed complicated. I mean,
it's very complicated. It was even more complicated being a mathematician, though, which is what I was meant to be. I was meant to be a professor of maths.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I heard a story that Jeffrey sold this to the BBC for £1. Did you hear that?
I believe that's correct, because this is one of the first books he wrote, and yes, for £1. I thought it was even 58p or something.
Yes, he sold it to the BBC. It's a good idea, Fraser, this. Bear in mind, when you write the old bestseller, he sold it to the BBC for a pittance.
Not a penny more, not a penny less.
No, but I'll get to that.
It'll probably make it.
It'll certainly make it, not a penny, yeah. Anyway, the thing is, on the principle that when it comes out, it'll sell millions more of his books, which I thought was dashed shrewd.
Yes, that's right.
Did you enjoy doing it?
It was great fun to do. We shot in Oxford, and it was a beautiful summer, and had a very good time, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, last time you were here, you told me about something you're doing for the underprivileged children in Los Angeles. Is that still, are you still working at that?
Yes, I am. I've been working with the children. We were talking about the school in Watts, and I've been teaching them Shakespeare. And what we've been doing recently is a rap of Romeo and Juliet. Sounds kind of strange, but the whole idea is for them to take the language apart, understand what it means, and then put it into their own rhymes and rhythms. And
you must get some extraordinary results from that.
Well, the kids came up with, I mean, I don't have all that, when you do rap, it has all the sort of bebop sounds behind it, which I can't do, but the chorus at the beginning of Romeo and Juliet went something like, "This is a story you'll never forget about the Montagues and the Capulets. They lived on the streets of Verona, but Romeo was a bit of a loner. He fell in love with Juliet. The problem was she was a Capulet." And it goes on in that vein.
And do they accept you there? I mean, you talk like a limey, presumably.
Yes, and the language that we're talking about is 300 years old.
Yeah.
But they soon get past that, and sometimes, you know, one appears on television and then they get, "Oh, we saw that," and they talk about it, and then they forget it very soon. I'm just there and
yeah. We hear, of course, hair-raising stories. I'm sure they lose nothing in the telling about life in LA, and you're teaching in Watts, which is regarded as a dangerous area. Do you never feel, or how do you feel about that?
Well, Los Angeles is a weird place, because everything is kind of random there. There might be an earthquake, there might be a flood, there might be a fire, and there's violence, but you don't know when it's going to happen. It's not like being in New York, where you're worried about muggers all the time looking over your shoulder. So in LA, you just prepare for all of those things, and I certainly, you know, in my house, I have an alarm that talks to me.
A talking alarm?
A talking alarm. It says things like, when you go out of the door and you haven't closed all the windows, it says, "Upstairs window open." So then I go running upstairs to find which window's open. Very bizarre. But it doesn't say "have a nice day."
Blue
things like that
seat still up. Does it do all that kind of stuff?
I told you were going to be burgled.
You shouldn't have gone out today.
That must drive you crazy.
Yes, it's a bit bizarre.
But do you spend most of your time there now or here, or are you going to come back here?
Well, it's always hard to know how much time. I mean, when I'm here, I'm usually working, and a lot of last year I was back. And I love it. I've had a good time, so I always look forward to being here.
Yeah. But obviously you live in Los Angeles because most of the work is there.
A lot of work is there. I mean, one of the differences between LA and London is that work in LA is very immediate. If you're not there, you don't do it. I mean, they literally, you meet somebody about a film, it starts the next day almost.
Yeah, you've just made a film.
I did a film called Child's Play at the end of last year, beginning of this year.
What's that about?
It's actually Child's Play. It's the second, it's a follow-on. And it's about a doll that murders people. Very highbrow stuff.
Oh,
and there's a little boy in it called Alex Vincent, and it's his doll, and I play foster mother.
You're
because,
working...
of course, the first mother's been put away because she realises the doll is a murderer, but nobody else does.
Is it hard working with a doll?
The doll is, yes, it's like working with a very temperamental actor. I mean, there are 12 people in the entourage that control the finger, the lips, the foot, you know, they're all behind it, manipulating. And you spend a lot of time trying to make sure that the shots are correct and the doll's doing the right things, and it often doesn't. So it's quite hard.
How about the little boy? You used to be a child actor yourself.
Well, to begin with, it was quite worrying, because we sat down at a read-through. He was 8 years old, and he read through his script terribly professionally and very kind of adult, and then said, well, I'm not going to learn the lines this time, because they changed so many of them last time. That was to begin with. We sat down at
How
lunch.
old is this child?
Eight. And then he proceeded to talk about agents and meetings and all the things that he was going through. Slightly, yeah, it's frightening. And also he said, we said something about makeup, and he said, how long are you going to be in makeup? He said, well, it might be quite a while this time, because the first film I was 6, and I was playing 6, and now I'm playing 7, I'm 8, so it might be a little while.
What will this child be like when he's 9? Like Marlon Brando. I mean, you were a child actor too, Fraser. I mean, and just referring to you too, Jenny, was there that kind of temperament allowed on stage or in film in Britain?
No, it wasn't. I went to Corona School, and there was Richard O'Sullivan and Dennis Waterman. We were all working, and if you got big-headed at all, somebody would just stamp on you from a great height. Never allowed.
No, that's very much... Children don't put up with any kind of I'm better than anybody else behaviour. And you do get back to school and you get on with it. You're not really allowed to.
That's much healthier. I mean, the other thing is a bit terrifying.
But it is peculiar filming, because you are amongst adults, and you do tend to be precocious and pretend to be adults.
Oh, I'm not saying it's the child's fault.
No,
I'm just saying it isn't perhaps the best training for growing up.
No, it delays adolescence a long time. I'm still going through it.
You've been very busy. You've come over and you're doing texts as well, which is for ITV. So it's kind of your television career here has undergone a tremendous resurgence.
Yes.
With Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less as well.
Yes.
Why is that?
It's a matter
Swings
of...
and roundabouts?
Well, it's just what comes up. If you're doing theatre, I was doing theatre a couple of years back, and that takes up solid periods of time, and people don't see you. It's not visible. So consequently, I was working, but that choice was theatre. And then these televisions came up. It just happened there was one after another, and I took them.
So we're seeing more of you, and I'm delighted that we are.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you too, Fraser. It's good to see you.
Thank you
both. Jenny Agutter. So my thanks to Jenny and to Fraser. I see you're all eagerness for the first 2 minutes.